So it's my honor to introduce our guest speaker today, who said he's older than dirt. But I'm almost as old as dirt, so we're in good company. Anyway, I did ask him to make a few notes, and so here he is. He's a Zen guy and has done this for half of his 80 years, half of his 40 years now. He's a student of Richard Vashi and von Thich Nhat Hanh. That may be a name that you remember. He's a founder of Open Way, co-founder, founder. He had his first clerical ordination in 1992. Zen teaching transmission ordination in 2005. And he was one of the ones who was on the initial delegation going to Vietnam with Thich Nhat Hanh who returned after 3 decades of exile. So Thich Nhat Hanh is one of your mentors. And I'm excited to hear what you have to say this morning about love. So you get to decide if you're doing a meditation first or you're going to talk first.
Thank you for inviting me back again. I'll say briefly that, as musical groups sort of run out of new material and they are sort of over the hill, they do a best of. And since this is the 3rd time in a row you've invited me when the theme is love, I may do a best of today. You just don't know. But I will probably start and end with meditation, being a Zen guy. They said I could do it at the beginning or the end. They didn't say I couldn't do it at the beginning and the end, so there. So as the last sound of the bell fades, you're invited to invite your attention to your breathing. So when you're breathing in, you know you're breathing in. And when you're breathing out, you know you're breathing out. Just letting your breathing breathe itself and letting the rhythm of your breathing bring calm, relaxation, and rhythm to your life. So just rest and relax into the experience of breathing, feeling it in your breath and your body. And for the next minute, I'd invite you to hold Linda Lightfoot. It's the first time I've ever been here without Linda, one of our dual practitioners and a dear friend for many years. So I just want to honor Linda for a few breaths of our meditation. And as you continue breathing, letting your breathing breathe itself, let yourself be aware of your breath, particularly in your heart area. You know, as you breathe in, your chest, your heart area, and your abdomen expand. And as you breathe out, they contract. But let yourself be especially aware of your heart area. And often as you do that, there's a little physical sensation just at the top of your forehead also. So if you're aware of that too, that's fine. It shows that the railroad that runs between your head and your heart is working. It's wide open, or at least it's open enough to sense that. In Zen, we don't distinguish much between heart and mind. So you can have a little meditation mantra. Breathing in, I'm aware of my heart. Breathing out, I smile to my heart. Turn up the corners of your mouth and smile. Breathing in, I'm aware of my heart. Breathing out, I smile to my heart. Breathing in, I'm aware of my heart opening. Breathing out, I'm aware of my smile becoming more natural. Breathing in, aware of my heart opening. Breathing out, aware of my smile becoming more natural. This is the sound of the bell fade. You can open your eyes if you were sitting with your eyes closed. Come back into the room. Probably most of you are aware that this is Earth Sunday, the day after Earth Day. And I'd like to say in church, it's time to remember more about stewardship and less about dominion. That is, we are given to be responsible for and to the entirety of God's creation. Because we are interdependent completely with everything in our natural world. Take anything out of our natural world and we cannot be. Which means we are a part of the natural world, not a part from it. Not someone with dominion over it. We seem to have the power to cause disasters for it, and we seem to be determined on doing that. But we are completely interdependent with our natural world. And it's as incumbent upon us to love the air, the rocks, the plants, the trees, as it is incumbent on us to love one another. Jesus, of course, said, "This is my one commandment to you, that you love one another." And there's another phrase after that, but I just like to stop there. This is my one commandment to you, that you love one another. And I would like to just say, maybe we could add another phrase to that. That is, this is our commandment as spiritual people, that we love one another and the entirety of the natural world. That we learn to open our hearts to each other, which is hard enough. Often it's easier to open our hearts to the natural world. I have friends who say, my church is nature, and my congregation are the birds and the squirrels. And that's somewhat easier than having a congregation of people. But go ahead. Love everybody. Love everything. Plum Village has an official table grace that's quite long because you keep adding lines to it. So my wife and I have shortened it to this. In this food, we see the presence of the entire universe supporting our existence. May we eat with mindfulness and gratitude and turn this food into words and acts of kindness. Now, a good test for how open your heart is, for how alive your love is how kind are your words and acts? Are you kind to people who deserve it? Quote unquote, deserve it. And are you equally kind to people who, quote unquote, don't deserve it? Is kindness a lifestyle, or is kindness a reward system that you distribute? Same way with love. Is that a lifestyle? Because kindness is love in action. And the psychologists in all their lovely research have come up with the idea that love is not a feeling, love is a behavior. Yes, there's a feeling that goes along with love. There's a heart opening that happens. There's a dissolution of all those barriers we build around our hearts to protect ourselves. But does it move into action? Does it move into action? One of the famous Tibetan teachers said, there is no enlightened state of mind. There's only enlightened action. Only enlightened action. And you've heard me say before, the Dalai Lama says, all this other stuff is my religion, is just my philosophy. My religion is kindness. I'll remind you again, I think it was Tillich, but it was one of the famous Christian theologians said, the test of the spiritual is in the interpersonal. The test of the spiritual is in the interpersonal. Mostly in Zen, you know, Buddhists talk about the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha as the three precious gems. And we think of the Buddha as a historical Buddha. And we think of that often as the meditation and concentration part or prayer part, Christian equivalent. The Dharma is what he taught. And the Sangha is a group of practitioners of the congregation. And usually we think of that as a kind of a hierarchy. But Thich Nhat Hanh gave a talk one time, and the summary of that talk is Buddha, Dharma, Sangha is a history lesson. It's not a practice hierarchy. He said, I'd like to focus on the Sangha. I like to put people and relationships first. In other words, same thing. The test of the spiritual is in the interpersonal. In Buddhist psychology, we say in our consciousness, in our heart mind, we have the seeds of every human possibility. And how we express as human beings depends on what seeds we choose to water. Or in modern behavioral psychology terms, that which is reinforced persists. That which is not extinguishes. In other words, if we water those seeds of love in ourselves by coming to places like this, then we begin to reinforce those seeds of love through acts of kindness in our interactions with people. So, who you are every day and what you're continuing to become depends on what you do in your head and in the world. If you let yourself get caught in thoughts of anger, hatred, division, they trickle down into your heart. So when you are aware of those kind of thoughts, they are reinforcing the seeds of all those things in your consciousness. So you smile to yourself and you say something like, there I go again. And you change the channel. You focus on a different thought. When you open your heart, it trickles up into your consciousness and reinforces those seeds of love, kindness, compassion, generosity that are in you. So do you want to be loving, kind, generous? Do you want to live your life from a position of gratitude? A friend of mine's basement recently got flooded. and the bedroom's in the basement. So some of you may have the experience of waking up in the night and needing to go to the toilet. And he said the first night they didn't have a basement toilet because the basement was not functional. He started to grumble as he walked upstairs to the toilet. And then he remembered, oh, I have another toilet. So it was a choice, whether he grumbled about the inconvenience or he chose to smile with the gratitude of the other toilet. And he said, I'm so grateful that my practice kicked in. So instead of being growly and going back to bed and tossing and turning, rah, 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 and not being able to sleep, I just smiled and rolled over and went back to sleep. We have so many choices that we can make. And in every moment, mentally and behaviorally, we can choose thoughts and actions that open our heart and generate kindness, or things that generate a society in which your basketball rolling into a neighbor's yard can get you shot as an 8-year-old. So this stuff is a little contagious. If you growl as you go around the world will begin to growl back because we reinforce each other all the time. But if you smile and are kind as you go around the world, that also is contagious. And it also helps your heart to stay open. And it keeps this heart-mind channel. In Zen, we don't say heart or mind. There's a Chinese character that says heart-mind. That is very useful. And we just translated heart-mind. So I say, it's not whether you're in your head or in your heart. It's whether or not the railroad is running. So your head and your heart are always connected. They're always informing and helping each other out. I had an experience of waking up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And it was on a Wednesday. And it was right after a really good Sangha meeting at Open Way. And I woke up and my whole heart was just open and smiling. It was just right there. And Thich Nhat Hanh's face was right there smiling. I would like to keep reinforcing myself in ways that cause me to wake up smiling, even in the middle of the night. Love is the central principle of Christianity and other spiritual traditions. Love is what it's all about. Reinforcing those seeds of love and kindness within ourselves, gradually eroding the barriers that we built around our hearts to protect ourselves, because we've all had our hearts hurt a number of times in a number of ways. And every time we get a heart hurt, we tend to put a brick in that wall around our hearts. But that's not a happy way to live. I recently came out with a report from an intergenerational, long-term, over decades and decades, of what promotes longevity. You will not be shocked to know that the number one factor in the lives of people who lived a long time was they had a wealth of relationships. I notice you guys like to laugh here. That's another thing that's been shown to promote health is laughter. It also promotes psychological health when we laugh at ourselves. So the next time you do something really, you say, oh, how could I do that? That was so stupid. Instead say, aren't I amusing, and laugh. because you don't have to have a situation comedy. You don't have to have a spouse. You can laugh at yourself. You'll do plenty of funny things. And the good news is you'll do more funny things in your head than ever come out your mouth. So you'll have many opportunities to laugh. So laughter opens hearts, and open hearts laugh. Relationship opens hearts, and open hearts promote relationship. The opposite of love is sin. Now, I don't mean sin in the Baptist sense of the word. One of the primary definitions of sin in the Hebrew tradition and Judaism is that which separates. That which separates. So I say that sin in that sense, the devil, the bad stuff, sin is that which separates. So if we want to know what to do in life, run around and promote that which connects human to human, human to nature, human to the divine, and avoid or do not reinforce sin or that which separates. Notice I brought shorter notes than usual. Hear what she said? Yeah, but the writing is really small. A lot of humor goes on around here. So I'm going to do another short meditation. And then I think I'm supposed to pick up the sheet and go into closing, if I remember my instructions correctly. And hey, I mentioned I'm 80, and I've been officially diagnosed with progressive vascular dementia. So I now have an excuse to forget all the stuff I've always been forgetting anyway. So I just told people, if I get off cue, just give me a verbal cue. Invited to place one hand on your heart, not necessary, but invited. You're invited to put another hand on your forehead. The part of your forehead behind your hand is the hippocampus. And we know that spiritual activity, prayer and meditation tend to expand the hippocampus. That's why Hindus put a little dot center of their forehead. But to be the center of our calmness and our spirituality. And a gateway to the rest of our mind. And we know that in our heart, there are also nerve cells, actual brain cells. So let's keep our head and our heart connected. Keep our wisdom and our kindness connected. Let's keep our meditative and prayerful selves connected. Let's breathe into our heart mind. Breathing in, I celebrate my heart mind. Breathing out, I smile. And you can just take your hands and put them back in your lap in any place that's comfortable. And continue to smile. And I'll offer you another mantra. Breathing in, I celebrate my congregation. Breathing out, I open my heart to my congregation. Breathing in, I celebrate my congregation. Breathing out, I celebrate my congregation here in the room. Breathing in, I celebrate my congregation. Breathing out, I take joy in my congregation. And as I breathe in and out, celebrating and taking joy in my congregation, I let myself be aware that my congregation is not just everyone in this room. It's not just everyone who's a member of Unity. That it's every person, every rock, every animal, every plant, every tree, the air, the sun, the water, and my congregation, that with which I practice love, starts here perhaps, starts at home perhaps, but it expands and expands and expands and until it takes in everyone and everything. Sitting here this morning, I smile and I vow to go out and see and treat everything and everyone with kindness. To close, let us pray together the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is, and all is well. Now I ask all of you who are physically able to stand for the peace song. Mother, Father God, help us to keep our hearts open. Help us to live in love. Help us to celebrate the abundance around us, the abundance that flows from you, and live in gratitude. And let us also appreciate the humor that is found in so many places in life, including here. And let's go out and have fun.